It would have been unthinkable just a few years ago to say the Cleveland Browns have the fifth best odds, according to betonline.ag, to win the Super Bowl. 14-1, the third best odds in the AFC. But after the offseason they had, following up the surprise season they had under Coach of the Year, Kevin Stefanski, no one should be surprised in 2021. Joining me now from Locked On Browns, Jeff Lloyd. And Jeff, we know that this Browns team is going to be, or has the potential at least to be, a real force in the AFC. Last year, they were a good team, not a great team. So what is it going to take for them to get into that conversation with the Bills and the Chiefs as real AFC contenders this season?
I think a lot of it is going to come down to the defensive side of the ball. What you saw last year on the offensive side, everything started to click. Whether it was the running game, whether it was the passing game, whether it was having, argument's sake, the number one offensive line in the NFL. I'll say it was the number one offensive line in the NFL. But defense, it was just lacking. Now, you're looking possibly at 9 new starters on the defensive side of the ball. The only starters you are confident
You only get 11, Jeff.
Yes. Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward. But the thing is, it's rare that you say you're starting 9 new defensive players, and most of them may be upgrades. Jadeveon Clowney paired with Myles Garrett. The thing I like to say to everybody is the Spider-Man meme. There's very few people that Jadeveon Clowney can point to. There's very few people that Myles Garrett can point to. And how does that fuel each other? He got 2. All right, well, there's no way I'm sitting out this half with nothing. And just driving each other like that. But then you got to see, and they only played 1 starter Saturday night. But you see Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, and you see the versatility. And these players, it's been difficult the last couple of years. The Cardinals did it last year with Isaiah Simmons, and it never really came to fruition until later in the year. Granted, the Cardinals had a lot more invested in him. For the Browns, it's their 52nd overall pick, a second rounder. But you saw everything as far as being a versatile defender. Where does he play? Maybe it doesn't really matter exactly where he plays. Just he will do what you ask him to do. Snuff out a screen, cover a ball, cover a receiver in the slot. Can he blitz the A-gap? Yeah, bang, bang, bang. And this is all keeping in mind, he missed a lot of training camp due to the fact that he ended up on the COVID list. Obviously, whatever he had, it never really affected him because he looked like all systems go Saturday night. But then you get to the other parts. John Johnson III, adding a player of this caliber. Ronnie Harrison had a great year last year, was the Browns' best safety. Doesn't have to be this year. Grant Delpit, still a mystery at this point as he's been nursing leg injuries, coming back from the Achilles. At worst, maybe has to be the 3rd best safety. But guess what? You drafted one on day 3 in Richard LeCounte. Looked fantastic. A PFF grade of 90 in his first NFL action Sunday night. You go to the offensive side of the ball. None of the core players played, but yet they found a way to throw for 340 yards, put up 23 points. No running game really came to fruition, but it's understandable. It was a patchwork offensive line. You're trying to move guys around because you're trying to find who's going to be 6, 7, 8, and 9. They have depth everywhere. A couple of injuries here. We'll see how it parlays into what they can do. But they also have enough in the tank. They can go out and get whatever they need. The biggest thing right now is trying to figure out how do they only keep 53. And this is weird because this is a team right about now. For years, Peter, we'd be saying, all right, we'll scrap about 67 of them, and can we get 25 real ball players in here? But this is as legit as it is now. You've got the coaching staff with all these players believe it. You've got a front office, which now for 2 years in a row has just hit the ground running and shown that even though they're young, even though they're doing things heavily analytically, it's proving to look like it's getting the job done. For this right now, and for everybody asking about the Cleveland Browns, and everybody says, oh, maybe their fans are getting too excited. I don't know how. This is the most promise they've had since they've returned. And it's hard to ignore it, especially when you go out there and you put an effort like you did. Granted, it was week 1 of preseason, but Jacksonville was playing legitimate NFL starters. The Browns were playing a bunch of guys that aren't even going to be good enough to make the Cleveland Browns, and yet they still got the job done.